Hello and welcome to the London United Filmmaker Podcast. My name's Greg Randolph. Today, I have Maria Pawlikowska on. We speak about her journey through London Film School and some recent musical short films she's made. They're absolutely amazing, and you're going to love the conversation. Maria Pawlikowska, thank you so much for being on the London United Filmmaker Podcast. How are you?
I'm very well. Happy to be here.
You sound great on the mic there. You sound like you're a born natural podcaster. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. This is really exciting. It's actually the first time we've met, so we're doing a little catching up off camera, but I figure let's just bring it to the podcast. I think that's going to be really interesting for people to listen to and kind of get a better idea of who you are, the types of films you're making, and what's in store for the future. So just a little kind of preview of just how we know each other. We both were London Film School students. We never got a chance to work together at school. You were a couple terms above me, but Zijian, who's a very good friend, I produced his grad film in Hong Kong, which was super fun, says super nice things about you all the time. And he's like, Greg, you gotta meet Maria. She's so cool, blah, blah, blah. I've seen your work, on Instagram and just, again, kind of through the grapevine. You've worked with Gary Reimer, who I've worked with before. And you've been doing some really cool things. You've been doing some musicals recently. But I want to talk about all those things.
Fabulous.
But I'd like to start at the beginning. So can you tell me a little bit about what got you into filmmaking, a little bit about maybe where you're from, and just curious kind of what sparked your imagination for filmmaking and what's brought you here today?
So, I shall start from the beginning. I am half Russian, half Polish.
Sure.
My mother was Russian. My dad is Polish. He lives in Poland now. He's moved back. I was born in London, raised in the countryside, very idyllic childhood, lots of theatre. So I went to a really wacky international school that doesn't exist anymore. It was EU funded. I was one of the last years to graduate. But I had like a great drama experience. I had amazing English teachers. I got obsessed with, on the one hand, literature and on the other hand, theatre. My father is a filmmaker. So I was raised kind of on a good education, cinema education, but I was more into theatre, I suppose, because that's what was available. So I was in every single play at school. Musicals were my favorite thing. I think the first musical, I was like little Cosette in Les Mis at school. And my mother, who was a bit of a musician, she would like rehearse with me nonstop. And that was the first artistic experience. I was 12 or 11, maybe younger. But that was the kind of the moment that got me into everything. So I just loved working with other people on big storytelling, emotional things. And that continued. I ended up, film never really occurred to me. I went to university to study English literature.
Okay.
First, I did a year in Paris. I was going to go to a clown school called Jacques Lecoq. It's a physical theatre school. And I actually, family story, I wasn't the best student ever at school, but then I did really, really well in English kind of by accident because I was obsessed with story, character, ways of, sort of like storytelling, basically narrative. Did really well, ended up getting a place at Cambridge University, which is great, but it's not really what I wanted. Particularly, I wanted to go to this clown school, and my dad was freaking out at home because he got the acceptance letter. I was in Paris, busking. I had a band. I was busking on the streets for money. I was living the bohemian dream at 17, and he forged my name on the letter. So I suppose with the logic that his parents didn't, or he didn't come to the West for nothing, one kid has to go to Oxbridge. And so I went, but it was, predominantly to do theatre. So I didn't really study that much. I spent all my time in the theatre, reading a lot, writing plays. And and that was sort of the idea, but I was acting, and then I transitioned to like directing and writing, and then I graduated, and I just didn't know how to get a job in the theatre. It seemed impossible, and it was really sad. I didn't have a community of any kind. I mean, there was the university kind of community, but it was a bit cliquey. I mean, it was not to like, you know, it was great in a lot of ways. I mean, I was in like a Footlights. Have you heard of Footlights?
Footlights, it sounds familiar.
Do you remember? Well, Sacha Baron Cohen, I believe, is one of the many alumni. I mean, it's a really amazing kind of comedy society. A lot of really, really famous, wonderful comedians came out of it. So that was all brilliant. It was good training. But yeah, I didn't know what the hell to do. I just couldn't get a job. Maybe I was just, I don't know what the problem was. But that's kind of what led me to filmmaking, because I realized you don't really need permission to make a film. You need a stage, unless you want to do weird street theater. Not weird, street theater. You might get rained on. It sounds pretty, in terms of like communicating with an audience, that didn't feel like the best route, I suppose. So I just very roundabout ended up doing a lot of different jobs, and then in America I managed to convince someone to give me a lot of money to make a short film. Way too much money. It was I wrote a 3-page script. A Little Death.
Yes.
And
this was before London Film School.
Before London Film School. This was the year of London Film School.
All right, great.
I knew I wanted to go to film school.
Sure.
But I didn't know where, and I hadn't made a film. But obviously London Film School, they're a bit more lenient about that. You don't have to have made a film. Right. You can have like a photography portfolio, etc. But it was during the pre-production of A Little Death that I started applying for LFS, because I just had this. I was like, "Fuck!" Sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, it's fine.
I was like, "Fuck, man!" No, I just thought I understood that that it was a massive opportunity that I even was getting given this amount of money to make a film, and that it probably would never happen again unless I found a way to. The most sensible option seemed to be film school. In order to, as you were saying earlier, catch up on that sort of, make a couple of films. So I made A Little Death. I acted in it, as you saw.
Yes.
And it was, I had no idea what I was doing. And it was way too much money for a person who didn't know how to make a film.
Where did you shoot it?
I shot it in Barcelona. Yeah.
That's where it is.
So, which I like when people don't know where
it felt like LA a little bit.
I get Miami, I get LA. I like that. That makes me happy. Because it wasn't, the idea was, I was originally going to shoot it in Ibiza because of the sort of subject matter.
Yeah.
Subject matter. It's about an undead sexual predator in the body of a young girl.
I was going to ask you to describe it. There it is.
Yeah. She has to sort of, sleep with men to survive. And can if I ruin the ending, do people mind?
It's totally up to you.
Right.
I think the idea is that I'm happy to share whatever you'd like in the comments or whatever.
Okay.
It's up to you. I think sometimes you want to leave a teaser. Because I think we're under kind of an emerging filmmakers kind of mindset, I think it's more, let's tell them about the shorts in anticipation for something that's coming up, right?
So now I've just realized it might be more fun not to tell them exactly, because the feature I'm working on now is a feature based on that short.
Cool. Perfect.
So possibly the less, the
less you know.
The less you know, the better.
Yeah.
So Barcelona, Pablo, who you had on the show.
Yeah.
He was a first or second AC on a part of that shoot. Yeah. He actually convinced his entire family to drive from Madrid to Barcelona for a holiday.
Oh my God.
It was the best thing out. I mean, that's just, he has the best. There's a lot of people from LFS with fantastic attitudes. Yeah. And that's going back to the whole film school thing. I mean, that's where you get the kind of taste for collaborate, people really just wanting to make stuff because they love it and not because of any other stupid reason.
Yeah.
And And
it's Pablo Garrido Carreras. Yeah, he's DP'd some fantastic films recently. Had him recently on the podcast, and that's so funny. He was working on Little Death. That's
I go way back with Pablo. I mean, he was my cohort.
Oh, cool.
He was exactly my cohort,
So
so I
cool.
met him immediately. And me and him were like the,
Yeah.
front row questions and every single class screening,
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
He's in a pod.
That's so cool. This is fantastic. I already feel like I'm getting an idea of where you're coming from, and a little bit about who you are as a filmmaker. So why don't we just keep moving forward a little bit, because you've been quite prolific. You've made some really amazing stuff recently. So I want to talk a little bit about. We've kind of gotten to London Film School, and can you tell me about a project? I know it's kind of spanning a good amount of time now, but can you tell me about one? Let's focus on one project that you're quite proud of, like during the London Film School time period. It can be something from school, or it can be an independent project, but I kind of want to span, because I think it's kind of where you started, and with A Little Death, which you made in.
I mean, I finished it during the pandemic. I was editing it throughout school.
So maybe from the pandemic, like up until now, because I want to talk about the musicals in its own specific place. So something before that kind of flurry you had that you remember, maybe specifically from the school time.
So something that would bring us onto the Gary Reamer topic, because I've known Gary since I cast him in my film school term 4 film.
Awesome.
A black and white number on celluloid. Best thing about LFS.
Yeah.
I had so much fun. Making that film was so much fun. I mean, we built that, and that's how I met Jesse properly as well.
Got it.
So that was term 4.
And this is Jessie Barnett. No, Jessie Barnett did not go to.
She did.
She went to London Film School.
But I hated her. We hated each other because she never came to class.
Oh my god.
She never came to the films.
That's so funny.
And I thought I was like, what is she doing? And little did I know she's quite a special individual.
Okay.
In a very original. She's very original. We will get to her.
And this is long-term collaborator Jessie Barnett, who you've been collaborating with quite frequently on the recent shorts. But we're getting there.
We're getting there. I'm gonna help you structure this because I jump a lot as well.
Thank you.
So I wrote a film called Kitty. Starring a really wonderful actress, by the way, called Emilia Clarkson, who's around. She's been acting since she was very young. Beautiful, talented, smart young woman who's just young woman. I'm a young woman, but she's just started directing herself as well, having been a child actress and then graduating to an adult actress, and has just made a really cool short film. But so she stars in it. Gary plays loads of different characters within this one slightly dreamlike, unlikely scenario. So none of the films I've ever made have been sort of either drama, straight drama, or kind of real in any shape. They were always a bit theatrical, let's say fantastical.
Building your own world, I'd say a little bit. But I would say again, we keep reaching into the musicals are comedy, like very funny. Like
I only like funny things.
Yeah,
I struggle.
I would say there's definitely a touch of comedy in a lot of the stuff I've seen from you. Grad film maybe a bit more serious.
People say, but it's quite silly as well. I'm always amazed that people think it's quite serious. But I suppose you're right. In that someone gets hit in the face and it's not funny at that moment.
Although, some of the interactions between that guy and girl who kind of have that chance encounter, they're quite funny. So I think it's almost like that's a part of what I like about this podcast. I think, and again, kind of like with this emerging filmmaker idea, is like very much like we can hear ourselves finding our voice, like speaking about it, in a way. So I think that's what's enjoyable about this. Maybe whether we've done a feature before or not, it's really great to kind of there's some work under the belt. But it's like this fun time where we're really kind of like figuring out what it is that we like to say in our films. Sorry, continue with you were talking about
Kitty, this black and white film that Gary is fabulous in. That's how I met him, and he's been like producing stuff with we work a lot together. Met him in that context. Jessie came up to me after, because you have to win pitches to direct, right? That's the quite
You gotta get voted.
Controversial thing about LFS. I think it's good, and I won the film. I was absolutely thrilled. I really wanted to make the film. Jessie came up to me. I was not friends with her. I did not know her, and said, "I'm designing it."
Whoa.
And I'm thinking, "Oh, are you?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm designing it." I thought, okay. And she smashed it. She built an entire 1960s house essentially in the film school, on the studio. We lived there. We practically slept there. We shot it. It was amazing. So chill. I'm not, it was probably the most chilled experience, because we were in the warm. We had this purpose-built set. We'd pre-shot because actually the lovely camera operator Vera, she did some wonderful storyboarding, but I think we pre-shot on the phone a couple of times because of that 3-to-1 shooting ratio. And I had all these quite elaborate camera moves planned, and if you fuck that up, you're kind of fucked,
Absolutely.
High stakes.
And this was on celluloid on 35?
On 35.
Amazing.
It was so much fun. It was great. And we had some, our pre-light day, we had the gaffer on The Shining, come and chaperone. It was that kind of, you get those little fun days and fun experiences and learn a lot.
It's a great thing with LFS. That kind of experience making those films. It's I think 10 minutes black and white. They give you the option to shoot on film. That's you. I think you've explained exactly kind of the feeling of those terms is just very exciting, and also kind of and even pre-shooting, doing these kind of short films on your phone to kind of make sure that the film is going to turn out, or at least everyone's on the same page as to what type of shots you're making and things like that is all very important. That's fantastic. So that's a memorable experience from. It was
fabulous. And on the topic of pre-shooting, and the thing that I was talking to a friend yesterday who's never directed before, but she really wants to start. And I was explaining to her what pre-shooting was, because she's pre-what now?
Yeah.
And I showed her Alexandra McKendrick. I gave her On Filmmaking by Alexandra McKendrick,
wow.
full of storyboards. But then I was like, forget that, just get your phone out. Because that's what I do now. Religiously. I don't, and with this feature that I'm I'm still in development, but I'm already thinking I want to pre-shoot this film.
The whole feature.
I want to pre-shoot who goes into, if you're very experienced, and I know there's different schools, but especially if we did want to get onto the topic of musicals, if you've got something that choreographed and with a very particular style, movement, camera, all of that, you if you haven't pre-shot it, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's very wise to do that. It's just it just makes things clear for everybody. I think it's all well and good to have an idea in your head and maybe do some storyboards and things like that, but to have it filmed, or at least photos that you show someone all the way through, is very, very nice. You can figure out the cutting of it. You can figure out if you feel like it's not working in regards to the blocking of it. There's so many positives that can come from it. And that's something that came straight from Raphael Kaplinski in Term 1, telling us to pre-shoot for our DCs and all this good stuff.
Yeah.
Great. So I've got a really, really good idea of a film that you really enjoyed making.
I enjoyed my grad film as well, by the way.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
But it was less relaxed because it was the pandemic.
Yeah.
I was running around London trying to squeeze money out of people. I was going to Russian oligarchs and this one. I was just remembering the things that I was doing in that era is hilarious to me now. I'm still have to do that kind of thing.
No,
but
it's what you have to do.
But then it was such kind of peanuts, also compared to what I had for that first film, that I just went right out the window, having shot in Barcelona and shot on anamorphic lenses. I had this DP who was really new. He wanted this and that, and we got it all, but it didn't necessarily make for the best film.
No, I get it. It's part of the learning process.
Process.
It's just do it. Find people you trust. You talk about Pablo driving his family. Get them there.
Yeah.
You make it a fun experience. That's exactly what this podcast is about. Is kind of maybe a little bit about how the sausage is made. A little bit kind of. It's not all pretty, but it's. I think if you explain it in such a way, it kind of demystifies a lot of things. And I think film is slowly happening. It's becoming a lot more visible, the process of it. But things like this, I think what we're discussing is very valuable.
I think so too.
So the grad film, it was, can you tell me the story? Just tell me a little bit of the background.
So I think I think this is true, although I've said it so many times that sometimes I worry that it's not true. But my brother's a lawyer, and he was at the time a criminal defense lawyer. And a lot of stories used to come our way, his way, and there was one about a honey trap scheme that had taken place during a court case, like a trial, and it was so wild. And when I hear about things like that happening in London, I get so excited because you just think, oh, that's a whole world I have no idea about. There must be so many things happening that we don't know. And so this whole, that really tickled me. And at the same time, I really loved the idea of trying to make a film in which the kinds of people who are in London, who don't get a lot of screen time, could kind of come together and not so it's a Bulgarian girl who gets ahead in London by virtue of this Albanian gangster. Technically, it's exactly what he is. And I have a lot of friends from both Kosovo and Albania, and there is a whole, they don't get upset because there's just a huge amount of organized crime that the Albanians are kind of running on the one hand, and on the other hand, it's if you don't really know people, like if you don't really have a sense of it, can all sound a bit abstract, but if you actually try and imagine what it's like to have to sort of make money from crime.
It's very rich. There's an incredibly rich.
It's huge themed. I mean, you think about like The Godfather. You think about all the kind of all the epics. They're usually to do with
so much to it.
It's a very exciting territory in terms of talking about like morals, society, everything.
Absolutely. Where you're from, kind of nationalism and just everything in between mixed with like, just murder and conceit and all these things. Yeah, it's
and
so
the
that's
stakes
an interest.
are high. It's an interest, and like my mother was from a pretty messed up part of the world, and I heard she had to do some not quite legal things. So those kinds of characters have always been very dear to me. Like the kind of you got to do what you got to do to survive, especially women, because that's a whole other thing. I mean, your resources are slightly different. I mean, there's also the element of sex is brought in because that's one of your, unfortunately, assets. That's a whole other. I mean, that's a huge part of my like thematic interest in terms of the things I make films about.
Yeah, absolutely.
But going back to So Far So Good, I was so tickled by the idea that you've got this kind of lovely Albanian gangster who just wants to get his brother off, and the means are not quite kosher, let's say. This young woman who really just wants a shot and needs money, and this is a gig that she has found herself to fast track her way to a life for herself in London. And then this adorable Brit, this bumbling Brit, and the idea of those three together, and I just kept on imagining this gangster breaking into this middle class English boy's house, and I knew I had to make it.
No, that's great. I totally see it. It's so great to hear you talk about it because he's actually fantastic.
Ed.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Such a great kind of character.
Yeah.
It's kind of like something you've seen before, but also in a new way, and it's just fun. It's just always a fun. I feel like the type of character, like kind of the. I'm not gonna blank on the how he makes me feel, but it's kind of just like not doting, but kind of like a little clueless, kind of just like
kind of naive and and it's probably the most exciting thing that's ever happened to him. And in a way, it's kind of great that it's happened to him.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's dramatically, it's just intriguing and it keeps you in your seat.
That's great.
That's awesome. I've got a great idea for your grad film. I've got a great idea for a project you did before. I really want to get to your recent work. This kind of I don't even know what the word is. Kind of this like outcropping or flurry of kind of films you've made very quickly, and you just shared them with me last night. I was able to watch them, and I was just laughing like the whole time. Like I really enjoyed it. I'm not just saying that. Can you tell me a little bit about what you graduated? You got your grad film done, the middle of COVID. Tell me about a little bit of kind of out of COVID and working with Jesse Moore and what you were looking to do. It sounds like from a child you enjoyed musicals and theater, so it makes sense a lot more now that you would be kind of working towards the things you've recently made. Tell me a little bit about it.
So, the pandemic was terrible.
It was. Were you in London for it?
I was in London.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was all right. I was writing and stuff, but obviously it was
frightening.
It was a shit show. It was frightening. It was just a bit depressing. Everything felt like nothing. Yeah, it felt like nothing was possible. Mm-hmm. Do you have ghosts? No.
I don't think so. I think you're good. I think
Okay,
you're
good. So, well, going back to Jessie, I wrote her grad film with her, and I acted in it too.
Cool.
I forgot. To
So,
tell
and
you
that's another thing I think that's important to talk about when with your films is you appear in a lot of them. You know, and A Little Death. You're a lead character in it, and I would say I think that's also something to kind of note is the difficulty in that, but also I think there's something quite refreshing about and a great learning experience, especially in early films, to be a director and actor, because you can really, I mean, what the hell? Who you gonna point fingers at? You know what I mean? You're the one moving through the scene, so you have to kind of. It's difficult, but I think also it can be there's an enjoyment in that. Maybe you could talk about that just to touch. I think we're maybe jumping around a little bit.
We'll remember the threads. Yeah. I think it's a really interesting topic because. Well, number one, you can't, when you've written a bad line, like, it's physically impossible to say. Mm-hmm. So it trains you to sort of imagine what it might feel like to be, some actor, poor actor who's got just like a bad script. Like it's not gonna, I think I've always loved it. I mean, there's a big thing now where, because of this film, my feature film, it's very likely I will also star in it.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'll play 3 roles.
Exciting.
Because I love it when actors play multiple roles. A bit like in, I did it in Kitty, but, I love it in Lolita, in Kubrick's Lolita. I love it in Strangelove. Yeah. Where you've got Peter Sellers cropping up as every single, I absolutely love that. Oh, in Lolita, he's always Claire Quilty in Lolita, but in Strangelove. Yeah. Which is a satire comedy, which is sort of my realm now. I've adopted it. I've decided that's my great. Genre with music.
I love
musical satire comedy.
That's perfect.
Thank you. But going back to the acting, yeah, I almost don't know how to explain how useful it is, but I suppose it goes back to the idea of you know how an actor's feeling, you know what they need from you, you know so much. It's a little bit like the way at LFS you have to do every role. It's like if you know how to what you need to be a focus puller, you can be a good director and you can allow for everyone to be comfortable. You can get the best work out of everyone, and everyone, you can make sure they're all happy because you know exactly what it entails. It's a bit of an obvious thing to say, but I think the same goes for acting, right? And just now with Blackmail, because we shot that pretty recently, it was wild because I was also producing it, assistant directing. I was doing everything.
But you come across, I feel like sometimes I felt when I watched the right film, a film I did and acted in, like I can see a little bit of the stress and anxiety. Maybe it played well because it's kind of it's a strange theme of someone who witnesses a murder and then wants to make a film about it. So I was hoping that maybe some of that stress of just driving the van and then acting in the scene. But you do it. I think you do kind of the opposite. You seem like you're just invested in the acting. Like you make it seem very much like it's fun and comedic and like, I don't know, there's so much energy you put into both sides. But I guess having Jessie there as well must have relieved some of that.
Yeah, I think there was an incredible triad that was going on. That was me, our DP, Joe on Blackmail and Mugged, and Jessie. Joe Gainsborough.
Sure.
He's a wonderful person and cinematographer who, and this will bring us back to the post-pandemic era, who me and Jessie actually met shooting a TikTok content for a GHD hair straightener ad in Ibiza. So I finally got to go to Ibiza. I didn't get to go for A Little Death, but I got to go on this ad. I won't, just in case anyone hears this podcast from that crew, I won't say too much about it. But I would say it was tough. It was not very pleasant conditions. Mm-hmm. And me and Jessie were there doing all this content, because that's sort of how we ended up making our musicals. We started, I was totally broke, and I had been doing various bits, and I was broke, and she got wind of this sort of freelance gig where we could make TikTok ads for Facebook, TikTok, for this American company. And suddenly it was like, in the early days, this is 2022, it was a real moneymaker. And I was able to pay for my life, but also pay for some films, which was huge. I mean, that's a whole big other thing. So we were our own producers. It was magical.
Was this shot vertically?
Vertically.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that when you were talking.
For some reason, you turn the camera to the one side, all of a sudden the money starts coming out.
Totally.
I don't know why when it's that way. It does no money.
It's a thing.
It's like turn it this way. Oh, now there it is.
Maybe we should shoot a film like that and then turn it like that.
Start doing these vertically. I think they'll have more money.
Think about it. Think seriously about that for a second. We were talking about Blackmail, which is the most recent musical I made with Jessie Barnett and Joe Gainsborough on the camera, and that was the dynamic between the three of us was quite magical. It is quite magical. So we did Mugged and we did Blackmail, the three of us. Met him under very dire circumstances on this ad in Ibiza. Thought he looked like the most unflappable, and he is the most unflappable, just calm. And me and her are a bit... She's a bit like me. Actually, she's even more energetic than me, and which is hard to imagine. So we're these kind of two weird little creatures running around, and he's just this very strong, solid, bear-like character, which you want from a DP. I mean, he's also what the reason I've really loved working with him, and will continue to work with him, and I hope to work with him on my feature, is because of his understanding of story. It's like that's the thing that comes first. He's not into, of course he's into gadgets only insofar as it can enable him to tell the story.
No, that's fantastic. When you found someone like that who can make something look amazing, but also be lockstep with story, you got to stick with that.
It's priceless. He's a friend. He's a collaborator. He's everything. And we would sort of perform the songs. We would perform the films for him, because Jessie's also a bit of an actress. We're both sort of, if we want to, I much prefer to sing my films to people than have them read it. So we did a lot of singing to him in the street and in my apartment. And he's sort of, we can see where he's laughing. He's just he's a person who we really trust his opinion.
Oh my God, when the Pritchard Report, what is it? He's shredding the Pritchard Report or whatever.
I'm so pleased you like that.
I was laughing so hard at that moment. That was so funny.
It reminded me of the lunatic in Full Metal Jacket, because it's my friend Christian from school, from our weird school that shut down. He actually works in real estate in a different capacity.
And he's the one that addresses camera? Is that
no, that's Ed.
Yeah, Ed is great.
So Ed from So Far So Good, from my grad film. And he's another, I call him my muse. He's another actor that I will keep working with,
Your muse, that's great.
He's so good.
I love the camera stuff. So I want to explain this to the audience so they can really have an understanding, because I'm hoping that everyone is enjoying our banter, because I think there's so many interesting things happening. But I think just chronologically, I wanted to discuss it a little bit. So you have So Far So Good, which is the grad. And it was also in the Palace, the official selection in the Palace. That's amazing.
And in Brooklyn, it was...
it was all around. It was fantastic.
So
then basically you had Bye Bye Baby.
Yes.
Then Seatbelt.
Yes.
Then Mugged.
Yes.
Then Blackmail.
Correct.
So my question is that... because Seatbelt is quite funny as well, and that's kind of I almost want to say it's like, because they're all have exclamation points. It feels like a trilogy.
Oh yes, it was intended as a trilogy. First, it was intended as an anthology, because we wanted to make like 7, and then we ran out of money and life got real.
I love this idea of Seatbelt. I mean, it's such a funny idea, because it's like so simple. It's like the most simple idea, where it's someone who's going to a hookup, essentially. Is that the idea? Is that they're going
a booty call.
Yes. And the seatbelt's talking to her, and it's a musical.
Yeah.
And kind of, maybe you can tell me a little bit about that, because that's the only thing I want to do, is I just want to make sure an audience has a little bit of idea of like the chronology of it, and kind of the evolution of these ideas.
100%.
Tell me about Seatbelt.
So TikTok ads were happening, and Jessie called me one day we've always been talking about how we wanted to make a musical. I mean, musicals, and that's so important for the world, and why no one doing it? And I think we were making these ads. It was perhaps a little depressing. We were both pretty unfulfilled creatively, and I think I don't want to get her in trouble, but like, we're not going to get arrested or anything. But she sometimes likes to fuck with fate a little bit and just not put her seatbelt on when she's going to the post office. And she drives everywhere. She drives this little Mini that we shot in, actually, and it's wild. So her seatbelt makes a noise when she doesn't put it on, which she frequently doesn't do. And she rang me up one day and she's like, "How we got to write a song based on that sound?" And at the time, I didn't particularly. I thought it was like a funny idea that I was going to help her with. It wasn't on my radar to write a film about a seatbelt. But then I just fell in love with it more and more. Yeah. And we got another long-time collaborator, Molly Duncan, the actress in Seatbelt, and she's also plays the policewoman in Mugged. Comedic genius.
Oh my God.
She's Jesse's muse. I mean, those two have known each other for a long time, and
there's so many good things to talk about in all these. We really could make a podcast on each one. That's why I feel like we're kind of like shortchanging the audience, and that there's a lot of talk. I just, it's just like, because they're very creative ideas. Like again, this idea that essentially it's we've kind of explained the story, but it's the actress, the woman driving the car, her name is
Molly.
Yeah. Molly last name
Duncan.
Molly Duncan. So Molly Duncan's driving the car, and the seatbelt appears, who is
Liv Aaron, another amazing actress, a big musical theater actress.
And they're singing to each other, and she's dressed like she's got a silver face and a seatbelt on her head. At first, I thought she was a pilgrim, but then I was like, oh, it's a seatbelt. I was a little bit thrown off for a second, but it clicked in. I think that's on me. But like.
No, it's not on you, because other people have had that problem.
Yeah, I'm like, that's
me and
a
Jesse.
Funny hat. Like silver face. Like I don't know, but I got there. But it's very funny, and like just the kind of the sung dialogue and everything like that. It's just very.
I mean,
it's over before it starts. It's not this long ongoing thing. So. That's much of my impression, I guess. It was
sort of, it's a sort of tale of like repression. I mean, this girl is a mess, and she's clearly a bad person, and she's 27, and she still lives with her mom, and she's shouting at her mom, and she's just not really doing life in a particularly good way, and the seatbelt tells her it's like, you not only you're not putting your seatbelt on, but there are so many things that you've done wrong in your life. So it's like a kind of subconscious coming to bite her in the arse, and she does. She gets we'll not spoil the ending for people. But that sort of, I got so into it. I got so excited. We wrote the song, we recorded the song, Jesse had worked with a wonderful musical arranger, composer called Alberto Matasans, who is our other angel.
We've got angels
everywhere. They're everywhere.
You've got, sorry, you were saying you have the guy that's speaking to camera is Jesse's muse. You've got
He's
muses.
my muse. Molly is Jesse. We've got muses, we've got angels, we've got all these people who are kind of the reason without that, it's impossible, as you were saying earlier.
That's a really good way of looking at it. Yeah,
there's no way, Jose. And so we record the songs at Alberto's little like studio in his flat in Ballum. We drive in the Mini. It's an hour and a half to get there. Things happen in the car. We write other songs. We actually raised money on Kickstarter for that one. We weren't probably financially secure enough in our TikToks to pay for it.
Sure.
By the time that was done, I had already had the idea for Mugged. I live in Camden.
Got it.
It's quite scary sometimes when you're walking home alone at night as a young woman. You get your key out. You just psych yourself out. And I did think to myself one night, what would happen if someone attacked me and I just started to sing? Like, are they really gonna rape me? Sorry to be so,
So just one defense mechanism, you got to have a few.
You got to have a few, and I'm like, this keys, I used to box, but like not that well. And then just, what about my beautiful singing voice? And I just thought it was really funny.
Them into, it's so funny. So can you tell me the story for Mugged?
So a young, flamboyantly gay black man is walking home alone at night. He's a little tipsy. He's got a G&T in his hand. And he encounters a hooded figure in a he has that moment where he goes, and that alleyway is next to my house, so that alleyway it's done a lot of things to my imagination. I actually had to go down it the other night. I had to relive my movie the other day. It was hilarious. And this hooded figure starts to follow him. He turns out to be an illegal immigrant from Albania. In order for me to be able to cast my other favorite actor in the world.
So funny, so good, so perfect. The two of them, like, what an odd couple. What a funny odd couple. Like, you really nail it. Yeah. You really nail it. And at first you're like, oh, okay, like, this will be funny, but they're both so good at, like, playing like an Albanian gangster guy and the flamboyant gay man. But then when they come together and start to dance and like do all this funny stuff, but still they have that comedic kind of like I don't even know what to call it. It's just odd couple. Like, it's just such a funny odd couple. And the way they're dancing in unison and stuff like that. And really what they're saying to each other in song is very, very funny.
That's very good.
You've got such a good sense of comedy and editing and shooting it and everything. It's so difficult, and you nailed it.
Well, the sort of the song tells you what you need to do, more or less. I mean, that's what's really fun about musicals, is that it kind of dictates. I mean, obviously, you imagine the whole thing while you're writing the song, but with those guys, I mean, we wrote the parts for them. So Idris, who is the actor who plays, we call everyone their first names in the film. So I'm Maria in Blackmail.
Exactly, yeah. And you got Gary as Gary.
Exactly. We kind of do it just like, it's almost like the weird kind of meta thing.
It's cool.
Which I really enjoy. And I should tell you, well, actually, maybe I'll tell you another time. Well, there was a time when in Mugged we had I'll tell you why not. It was a terrible idea. We cut it, but we showed the crew. There was like the original ending of Mugged was the two of them talking, boring the whole crew to death, to the point that they start packing up and they leave because they're still competing about who has it worse. And it was a really fun idea. It didn't really come off. It was a pretty tough production. It was night shoots. It was cold. These boys were having to dance in the freezing cold in winter in camp. Like,
how many days?
We had one day, a cozy day in the theater for the dance break and the rap.
Which is also funny. Like, the scene changes are funny.
That moment when they jump in,
they're funny.
Makes me, I think it's the happiest I've ever been in my life, was that moment.
It works because it's like, and then the ending is also funny, where it's just like, you do just the perfect kind of drawback, and it's just like, you're kind of not expecting at that point because they're getting along so well.
And that is in a nutshell what the film's about, right? It's like, that is the power of music and art. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite translate 100% of the time into real life. Oh my God. You are still who you are at the end of the dance, right?
I was laughing.
I'm so pleased. So I mean, that goes, that this whole thing about the sort of the meta, the self-referential thing, the satire, musical. I mean, I really like films that are really extra, because everything's fiction, right? When people say, I don't like, I had a really weird meeting the other day where the guy invited me in to like chat about my musicals and said, I don't like musicals. Okay. And I was just sat there like, okay.
Yeah, so, this is going to be a tricky one.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to carry this one up.
No, it's funny. Like, for me, I'm not like 100% like I don't know all the musicals by heart or anything like that. I mean, I love like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is like one of my favorite movies, because it's funny, but it's also got all these great songs and it's just so memorable in so many ways. But then also like oddly, your films, I know this might sound a little strange, like Family Guy, kind of like the way that they do the songs and dances.
So South Park.
Yes, yeah.
South Park is my favorite.
Totally, like some of the animated stuff, like you guys do like a perfect, almost like it almost feels like it could be animated or something like that.
We call them live cartoons.
Yeah.
Me and Jesse,
that's what it is.
That's what I want to make is really live action cartoons, because I've never loved animated. It's just not something. I need flash. I need actors.
Of course. Yeah, live action is there's something direct about it,
And you know what? Seeing the book, Jessie forced me. We took Alberto, our musical arranger, to see Book of Mormon in the West End. And I had never seen it. I didn't
really?
think I was going to like it, and it changed my life. I mean, that was the
funny.
catalyst for.
No, that's all good. That makes sense. And Mormon, how can you? I mean, I guess you can say, oh well, it's so popular, this and that. But there's a reason it's been around for so long. It's really good. It's really good.
It's got it's everything that I love, which is a combination of really stupid and really deep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and like kind of making light, like it's all well and good to watch a film that's deep, you know what I mean, or that's like kind of like a staple of cinema or something like that. And I love that. I mean, that's one of the main one of the fun things about making films and thinking about films is watching something like that. But I think musicals can kind of like or the adding musical elements to it and making kind of things a bit lighter or even comedic, when you do it right, it can be just as profound in every way, and you're kind of serving it up to a bit of a different audience. You know, it's like there's just some fun things about it, you know?
Yes, I fully agree with that. That's kind of the appeal to me. And being able to do multiple things at once.
Yeah.
I had that. I fell in love with David Lynch when I missed the boat and I missed the boat with South Park. I've just discovered South Park.
Nice.
And I discovered,
really? Wow.
yeah, and
cool.
I'm totally obsessed. I'm not wearing I have a pair of jeans with the Butters. I'm obsessed with Butters. He's my favorite character of all time. Yeah, Butters is like, he's my man.
So funny.
I'm in love with Butters, an 8-year-old cartoon. But yeah, so when I saw Blue Velvet, age 25,
yeah.
I was scared, and I had so many things going on at the same time, and that's another catalyst moment, because I realized that that's what I'm interested in. It's just having this sort of it's funny and scary,
Sure.
or it's a couple of things happening at once. I mean, that's just like how irony works. And you get it in your Billy Wilder and all of my favorite filmmakers. They're towing the line constantly between comedy and something else, something darker or more real or more kind of disturbing, I would say. And then Mormon just totally, that was like, oh, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Maybe that'll change, but it's something about the communication. You get a direct line into the brain of your character, so you don't have to worry about like, where was he born? All this psychologizing, the realism, the kind of the literality of it is just out the window, and you get to operate in this kind of more metaphorical, playful place, which is for me much more interesting. But that's
and you make it look easy, though. I mean, I think you're describing it quite a logical way, but developing songs and then acting them in them as well, potentially, and then filming them the correct way, all that stuff is not easy, and you make it look easy. So definitely, I mean, I think that's amazing. Like, I really get a sense for some of the recent work. Just congratulations with it. I wonder, are you looking to festivals for them? What is your plan for them? Not that it matters really when it comes to that. The work is the work, but yeah, curious where people maybe see this one day.
So self-produced. Did a screening in the Cars on Soho. I wish I'd known about you. I would have invited you.
Yeah. Hopefully another one in the future. And it went, and we weren't going to go to festivals because we just thought there's no festival for this. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know very much. To be honest, I don't know much. I don't really get the whole festival thing. I don't quite understand the logic behind programming. I'm not that interested in forking out loads of money to gamble. What I really wanted to do was get in front of loads of people, and some people who could potentially give us money to make feature musicals.
But I think this is it. This is the ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the ticket.
So it's proving to be, I think the screening was great. We had like 250 people. They were all laughing the whole way through. I mean, me and Jesse were kind of petrified, but it went really well. And the responses we've gotten from people who even just seeing them via links have been massive. So I feel confident that there's something here So we have sent them to a couple festivals, not too many, but we figure we'll give that a go on the one hand. On the other hand, it's more, so playing with the idea of starting a company, but now the idea is
you have ASAP
Productions.
And now is that your company?
It's mine and Jesse's company. It's slightly on hold. I mean, we'll see. We're figuring it out, partly because my main focus now is the musical feature of A Little Death.
Okay, cool. I think this is a good transition. Then here we go. So I think we've covered these previous works. They're fantastic. Yes, absolutely. tell me about the future. Tell me about what's coming up with this particular project.
So this particular project I've been thinking about for 6 years, let's say 6.5 years. It's the same premise of the short film A Little Death. So this creature who unfortunately has to sleep with men in order to survive. The men age 200 years as soon as they orgasm, and she's fine. She looks hot and young forever as long as she sleeps with men.
Got it.
Obviously, she ages exponentially if she doesn't get laid, and then it's like much harder to get laid if you're old as a woman, right? Famously. And so there's a lot of kind of it's comedy, but it's also dealing with some slight themes I'm kind of interested in. And I made the short. I like it enough. I mean, I haven't gotten over the subject matter. I'm still totally tickled by the premise. There's something about this day and age. I don't know. I'm getting kind of feelings from the zeitgeist that allow for this film to sort of like it feels like the right kind of story for now. Let's just put it that way in simple terms. But I couldn't, and I started writing the feature where you've got like two of these creatures and a human man, and it's a kind of love triangle. Obviously, you know, the main character falls in love with a human man. She can't sleep with him or she'll kill him. She has to sleep with other people. He has to help her find guy. Like it's it's quite a dark, twisted romance comedy, and I couldn't get it to work forever. And I kept on being told by various people, including, you know, other filmmakers, just move on, do something else. Come on, how long have you been writing this thing for? And I keep, you know, I have these panic attacks. I'm thinking, am I insane? Why can't I drop this thing? And I didn't drop it, and took a detour via some musicals and found its happy tone, world, everything in sort of the family, the tone of the musicals I've just made. So everything came round to where it needed to be.
And you think so? You will be incorporating like a musical?
Oh, it's
aspect.
A full-on musical.
It's full on.
We've written the songs.
Yeah, I love it.
7 songs done. I mean, they are 3 of them have been sort of semi-produced. Then Alberto actually had to. Well,
no, Alberto. Yeah. Who is this?
Alberto Matasan. So he was the composer on Bye Bye Baby, on Jesse's grad film. Wow. And he then he did the arrangement for Seatbelt. So we would go to his, we would record, we would sit there. Him and Jesse would sort of imagine where to put instruments, and that's how he would produce. He produced our song. He's a musical producer for us, right? And he and Jesse sort of do the musical arrangement, and so for A Little Death. It was at that point, Jessie basically, she decided that like, her strong suit is the music writing. So I decided, okay, I'm going to write the script by myself, direct it, produce it, and she's going to be the sort of the musical director as and when, and we wrote the songs together, and she's going to be the kind of musical arranger, hopefully with Alberto. He's just taken a very good job in Madrid for a famous composer, so we're happy for him to go do that for a bit. Miss him terribly, but so we produced a couple demos, then the rest of the demos are just like me singing all the parts.
Wow.
The men, the women.
And I think you have a great voice as well. Like, you totally nail it. Like, it's not, it's great. It's very, you're very comfortable. Like,
I do love to sing.
Yeah.
I do love to sing.
You're moving around, you're doing everything.
And I love to dance, I mean, I learned tap dancing for Blackmail.
You can see you love it. I think that's the key, is just as long as you love it and you put yourself into it, then I think an audience is going to be like, this is great. I'm here for this.
Just the power.
It's hard to do.
It is hard to do. And I went to see Fiddler on the Roof at the Regent's Park Theatre. Seatbelt, Liv Aaron was in it. Wonderful performance. And I was watching, and it's a very it's a lot of songs, and they're wonderful songs. But it was the moment where these Russians, and it could be my heritage, they started doing this like Cossack dancing, and it's there's something about dance that's just like another level. Song and melody and lyrics, wonderful, but then as soon as you get the body involved, it's something animal, it's something really ancient for us as humans, I think.
Yeah, of course.
And I just love it. Yeah. And when the boys in Mugged, when they jump onto stage and they do their dance.
Yes.
Like that makes me the happiest girl in the world.
It's so funny.
It's very, very powerful and emotional, and so is song and music. But going back to A Little Death, so the songs are written, the script is written, and now I'm actually, I'm in talks with various producers, and what's really nice is because people have got the musicals, they trust me now. They're like, well, we're happy for you to. They're even happy, it seems, for me to act as well as direct, which is a really big deal for me. I've always been trying to cast that role, but I always end up casting myself.
Yeah.
There's something, because I'm writing the characters as well. I've already thought about how to play them.
Yeah. Facial expressions. I think all that stuff that sometimes is a little difficult to telegraph. You, as a director, I think you should be able to telegraph essentially anything. But what the hell? If you feel like you've got it in you, and you're writing a character that's close to you and might even be you in some ways, even if you want to say, oh, it's Bill or the Ted or whoever, like. Just give it a try, and you've done that. You've shown that you can. So that's all that you need to be able to take it to the next level.
I should hope so. I mean, I can imagine it. And we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing is, because I was also with Jesse producing, ADing, doing it all, I feel like if I'm not doing those nuts and bolts, the kind of scheduling stuff, hopefully my hands will be slightly freer to really, to be able to perform properly. But we'll see. I mean, I think there's something about that whole live action cartoon thing, because I have a very cartoon like.
It's fun, just kind of like to me the writing of it has a cartoonish quality to it, like all of the acting and it's more, it's like people that got trapped in a musical and are like,
exactly.
But that's always how a musical is. So I don't know. I guess it's one of those things with shorts where it's like you've achieved the tone of a musical like very, very quickly, and then I think the idea is that in regards to, I just find them funny, and so I think when it's funny, you've convinced me. I don't necessarily need to be like, oh, it's cartoon, and then after the fact you want to say, well, what type of comedy is it? Well, it reminds me of South Park a little bit, it reminds me of this, or it reminds me of that. So, but you've got a brilliant mix. You've got like a Strangelove kind of thing going on, and then you've got a little bit of like a South Park kind of thing going on, and then I mean, shit, that's pretty good mix if you ask me.
That's a very good mix in my mind.
Yeah. So Maria, just this has been such a great conversation. I've got such a better idea of like where you're coming from, and just having watched your films and everything. Just thanks so much for sharing them, and just congratulations on all this great work you've done, and I wish you the best with this upcoming feature idea. You've already got the short shot, so it's kind of I think it's really just about putting the pieces together. It sounds like you've got a script done and you've got songs done, so like you're knocking on the door of this thing. I wonder, is there anything else you wanted to cover just in regards to the future? You've got, I mean, this is kind of the one on the door, but what about like kind of looking maybe even a bit more long term, in regards to the types of films you want to make? Do you want to continue to pursue musicals, you think, in the future, or are you looking towards a couple of different ideas? I'm just curious as to what are you looking for, forward to in the future?
That's a very good question. I'm going to try and answer
in regards to filmmaking, or in regards to whatever, just.
I mean, I really like musicals, absolutely, because of the kind of I'm really interested in satire, and it's my way of doing satire and comedy. Because the more heightened, the more you get away with, the more kind of you can go to such interesting places. I think emotionally and yeah. So I figured it's like it's the way I can express the things I'm thinking and feeling now. Maybe that will change. My dad's always like, maybe you'll get over this comedy thing. And I don't know. Because I love, as you were saying, like serious movies. When I saw Ivan's Childhood at film school, my mind got, like, I've had my mind blown by
same.
very quiet, Or that, do you remember that? Is it Francesca Olmi, The Tree of Wooden Clogs? Just about the furthest away from my musicals as it comes.
I don't know if I've seen that. Yeah,
kind of Italian, kind of neo-realist, maybe. I think it's a bit later than
I think the trick is that you got to find your voice. It's great to watch these directors who have kind of staked their claim and made these amazing films that have gotten us to where we want to be now. But that's the fun of it, is you watch those movies and they go into some other part of your brain, and then you make what you make when you turn that camera on and you write that script, So it's all, we're film lovers. It's pretty obvious, So no, that's really good to hear. That's really, I totally get this idea of like you're still trying to figure out exactly what the direction might be, but you've got this great feature on the table, and it sounds like the future will happen.
Well, it will happen, whether we like it or not.
Is there anything else you were kind of looking to speak about, in regards to filmmaking?
So what I had in mind was, the thing that I've learnt, I think, that the biggest lesson has been that you are only as good as like the people around you, basically. Obviously this whole directing, you were talking about the mystification of directing and whatnot. I think there's different kinds of directors, right? But I am definitely of the school that just your collaborators are your
everything.
It's your everything, and you can't do anything in a vacuum. I think the more that you can find your people, that's really tricky. I think that's the best thing that came out of film school for me, was meeting Jesse, hands down. And that was so formative. I would not be able to talk so confident. I wouldn't be able to talk to you about the Book of Mormon if it wasn't for that one encounter with that one girl who I love deeply, who I have a lot of creative affinity with. And I think if you can get yourself into a position where you're able to meet those kinds of people, sometimes that comes from making films. People come to you, they say, I loved your film, or you even go after. I think if you see something you love, that was sort of my experience recently in terms of finding producers for my project. I think there was a particular project I identified that I really liked, and I just said, hey, I really like that film. And I started a really wonderful discussion with producers that I admired for this project. They made a bold thing that they did. I think that's your clues are kind of in the work, right? You can kind of see what someone's about, I think.
Absolutely.
But yeah, find those people, and I think without them, you're fucked. I would say. But it also just makes everything. It makes everything
better,
a better quality, better experience. You learn as a human, not just as a filmmaker. It all becomes this kind of this ride, this adventure that you're on together, right?
And I guess that's kind of the summation of maybe something you've learned up until this point, in regards to filmmaking, going through film school and all this stuff, is that's kind of like a jewel.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more important in term to impart to tell. If someone asked me, I would just say that. Find your people, basically.
Absolutely. And I think that's definitely a message for the podcast as well, is just this idea of like community and creating a community. And even meeting you here today, like that's what I want from this, is just to be able to potentially work together in the future, make more of these, let people know about what's happening out there in the world, and that's really the main message. So yeah, again, Maria, just thank you so much for being on the London United Filmmaker podcast. And I'll see you soon.
See you very soon.